This review has been made possible by Toyota of Naperville. As you know, Toyota has tons of brand new Toyotas available for purchase, but did you know that they also have a remarkable selection of used cars? Head on over to toyotaofnaperville.com and look through hundreds of used cars for sale right now.
Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach and today I am driving a 2016 Fiat 500 Abarth. Up front is a 1.4 liter turbocharged inline 4 and down below is a 5-speed manual transmission.
This video is sponsored by CarMarshal.com. If you'd like to support the channel, click the link down in the description below. CarMarshal.com advertises for over 100,000 vehicles across the US.
But let's get back to that 1.4 liter. Well, it is something called the Multi-Air, which is from Fiat, now used in a lot of Dodge products. The Dodge Dart had this engine. The Fiat 124 Spider has this engine, and I like it a lot. It's peppy. And oh my goodness, for such a little car, it sounds phenomenal. Size to sound ratio, this might be one of the best cars ever. I'll give you a little sound clip here. It is so good. And it's peppy. It is quick. Now, unfortunately, it's really snowy today, so I can't quite wring it all the way out, but man, it wants to go. It is a quick little car. Oh, yes! Yes, Fiat 500, yes! And honestly, it makes me super excited to one day drive the Abarth Spider because it's essentially a ND Miata with this engine. I love this engine for the size, for what it is, this little zippy thing. It's perfect. A 1.4 turbo is perfect. And it's probably the best sounding 1.4 liter piston engine ever made. It's just so good. Now, like I said, paired to it is a manual transmission. I like it a lot. Don't be fooled that it's not the stock shift knob, but it is fun. The shift throw is good. The clutch is nice and light. There's no guesswork. I haven't really stalled it yet. And although the shifter's up on the dash, it feels pretty natural, which is nice. Last but not least, the Abarth is, of course, front-wheel drive. Now let's talk about the interior. Actually, one thing before we get on to the interior, I get this question a lot for smaller cars like this. I'm 5'11". My right knee, my right shin more, is kind of digging into the dash. It's a little uncomfortable. But I get a lot of questions of, oh, I'm 6'1", oh, I'm, whatever height. Will I fit in this car? Usually on reviews of smaller cars. So I am 5'11", if that is any sort of gauge for you. I hope that helps. But let's talk about the interior. We have a lot to talk about here in the Abarth. In front of me, I have one main gauge giving me my speed and my tire pressure in the middle. On the left, I have my tachometer and coolant temperature, and on the right, I have my fuel and MPGs, which the MPG gauge sort of mirrors the tachometer in the fact that it's designed the same way. I'm not really sure why there's still an MPG gauge in here, but there is. I can dim the gauges, but that's really the only customization I have, and that's done with the 3 buttons off to the right. To the left of the gauges, I have a giant boost gauge. This might be the largest boost gauge I've ever seen in a factory car, and it goes all the way up to 24 PSI. I don't think we're quite gonna hit that here in the Abarth, but if you ever do, you can read it. But it isn't really a true boost gauge because it doesn't show vacuum. That kind of bothers me sometimes when car manufacturers do that because it's just kind of a gimmick. A turbo makes vacuum and boost. And it's nice to see both, and this only shows you boost. It's kind of a fanfare for the folks at home. On the steering wheel, I just have cruise control on the right and my phone options on the left, as well as audio mute, things like that. On the door, I just have the handle and the power mirror options. The window switches are actually in the center. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And getting to the center, we do have a radio. It is touchscreen. It's tiny. It is very, very small. Makes sense. This is a very small car. I wouldn't really expect too much else. And I'm sure this shares a radio with the stock, regular, everyday Fiat 500. The Abarth doesn't really need an upgraded stereo. The upgraded stereo is that exhaust system. Oh, a little pop if you don't mind. Down below the radio, we do have a sport button, hazard button, and rear defrost. So the interesting thing is, of course, we do have sport mode, which I'll turn on. The entire center of the boost gauge lights up sport. Again, probably the largest notification I've ever seen for a sport button. This car is very oddly proportioned. It's probably one of the smallest cars I've reviewed recently, but it has the biggest boost gauge and largest sport button I've ever seen in any car. Down below the sport and hazard button, we do just have our climate controls. Again, very, very base, very nonchalant. I'm sure the regular 500 has the same exact controls. It's nothing special here. Although I do have heated seats, which I'm pleasantly enjoying. I only have one setting of heated seats, so it's either on or off, but I do get heated seats nevertheless. And this is also where my fog light switches are. Again, nice feature. When I do put it into sport mode, the gauges actually do get larger. The tachometer gets ever so slightly larger, and the MPG gauge turns into a percentage of throttle gauge, which is very interesting. No input, little input, all input. It's very interesting. Then we have our two window switches at the very top of the shifter, and then we have the shifter. Like I said, this is not the stock shift knob. Some person put this on before the dealership got it. But I like the shifter position. At first glance, and actually looking at it, it looks super weird. It looks like it wouldn't be a good spot for a shifter, but actually driving it, actually shifting those gears, it's good. It's really good. Now, getting down to the very bottom center console, I do have an aux and USB input. This is fine, this is cool, but they have their own separate doors, and I can't help but feel like if they would have just made it one door, it would have saved Fiat some money. That could just be me. I mean, heck, what do I know? But I just feel like it's a little unnecessary. Then we do have cup holders and another unnecessary thing. Well, the thing itself isn't unnecessary, which is the hand parking brake. Manual, it's fine, but once it's all the way down, it has a lot of play, even though it's off. Kind of worrying there. And then, my biggest gripe, I think, with the whole interior of this car, besides the fact that my right kneecap has been hitting the center, is these armrests on the seats. Because they fold up and down, which is fine, but when you have them down and you want to reach for the handbrake, my arm doesn't fit through the two handrests. So you can either have one up and that'll be fine, or you can put both up and it'll be fine. But if you have both of them down, reaching through to get the handbrake is very, very hard. But let's talk about the seats. The seats are nice and comfortable. Like I said, they are heated, but they are manual. They're red. We'll talk about the red interior after we talk about the back seats, which, yes, we have back seats. And yes, I'm going to review them. Well, guys, if you're fans of the channel, you've seen me climb into some pretty tight back seats. But in all honesty, I think this might be the final boss. I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but we're gonna do it. Oh, God. Okay. So, nope. Okay, that brings it up and down. That's good to know. Okay, I have a red strap here. I pulled it. Okay. Oh, it brings it all the way forward, too. All right. Getting in. So we're gonna close this. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, so my knee is jammed into the seat. I have a speaker back. I have two speakers back here, actually. The headrests have been removed. It's not good. My head's hitting the ceiling. Would not recommend. Really, it's bad, guys. It's bad back here. Yeah, 0 out of 10. Nah, well, 1 out of 10 for having them, but it's more of participation points than anything. All right. Would you like to see the trunk? Here it is. It's very, very tiny. What did you expect? It's a Fiat 500. Don't come at me. So let's talk about the ending thoughts of the interior, and then we'll talk about the exterior. Well, the interior is red. I do have a nice Abarth logo with the Italian flag behind it on the dash. It says 500. You actually won't find any Fiat badges in here. But the interior is very, very red. I usually don't mind a red interior. I quite like a red interior if it's done properly. And I think this is done semi-properly. It's a little tacky, it's a little plasticky, but it's not the worst thing in the world. Now, compare it to the exterior. This is a mustard yellow Fiat 500. And so, you get yellow on red, ketchup and mustard, if you will. This combination together is, as the kids would say, absolutely atrocious. It's so bad. Red and yellow should never really be mixed together unless you're ordering off the dollar menu. And you guys know me, I love a McDouble with ketchup only, but not in my car. This is a rolling, driving, awesome sounding McDouble. I won't talk about the color anymore. If you're going to buy a Fiat 500, do not spec a red interior with a yellow exterior. And as a matter of fact, don't buy any car that has a yellow exterior and red interior. Don't do it. You do it? Don't do it. Now, let's talk about the rest of the exterior. Let's pretend it doesn't have a red interior. It looks awesome. I think it looks great. It's a lot more aggressive than a regular Fiat 500. It looks different, sounds different, it is different, it is better. This is the one. This is the way, Mandalorian. Oh, just the accents, the wheels. Oh, and that sound. Oh, that sound. Good things come in small packages, and the best things come in the smallest of packages. This is such a fun car. Do not buy it if you plan on taking people around. Do not buy it if you can't put up with the noise. If you haven't noticed, I've kind of been yelling most of the time, and yes, I do have a yelling personality. I don't have to tell you that, you can just look at my face. But the actual road noise in here is a lot. You hear the outside, there's not a lot of sound deadening. Where would they put sound deadening? There's not enough car for it. And so if you want a quiet daily that's fun, you might want to look elsewhere. But if you're okay with that noise, like I am, oh yeah, this is good. This is really, really good. And I'm so excited for this review because I finally get to check another manufacturer off my list of cars. I've never driven a Fiat before. This is my first introduction to Fiat. And man, what an introduction. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Toyota of Naperville for allowing me to take out their Fiat 500 Abarth. It's just a cool, fun car. If one comes up with low mileage and in your price range and you don't have a family, it'd be hard to say no. It would be real hard to say no. Toyota Naperville is absolutely awesome. They have fun cars on the lot all the time. This popped up yesterday. I knew I had to drive it. Their information is up on the screen. They have hundreds of used cars and they cycle them all the time. They also have great deals on new Toyotas, of course. So if you are looking to purchase a vehicle, definitely go check out toyotaofnaperville.com. It should be your first stop every single time you go car shopping. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.
Aside from my soul.